Have you ever felt that strange emptiness after waking up late? That feeling that the morning has already slipped away? That you've missed something you can't quite name? It's as though peace visited your doorstep at dawn, but you were asleep when it knocked. The time after Fajr is not an ordinary hour. It is a gift, a whisper from the heavens, a sacred moment when the world is silent and only hearts that remember Allah are awake. It is the time when angels descend, recording the names of those who choose remembrance over rest, surrender over sleep. And yet, how often do we trade that peace for a few more minutes beneath a blanket? We close our eyes, not realizing that in doing so, we close the door to barakah, to blessing, to divine calm. Let's reflect. What really happens when we sleep after Fajr? The time after Fajr is one of the most spiritually profound hours of the day. It is not simply another part of the morning. It is a moment when the world is wrapped in silence, when the light of dawn slowly pushes away the darkness, and when the angels descend to witness those who remember their Creator. At that moment, heaven is closer to the earth than at any other time. The Prophet described how angels gather at Fajr and Asr, recording the people who are present in remembrance and then ascending to Allah with their names. To be awake in that time, to have your name mentioned among those who remembered Him while the world slept, is an honor that cannot be measured in worldly terms. It is a moment written in the unseen when the heart feels light and the atmosphere feels blessed. Those who have tasted the sweetness of this hour know it is unlike any other. When a person wakes for Fajr and stays awake afterward, something subtle but powerful happens to the heart. There is a serenity that settles within, a deep inner calm that cannot be found later in the day. The air feels purer, the sounds softer, and every breath feels closer to the remembrance of Allah. In that sacred silence, your soul speaks. Your worries seem smaller, your thoughts clearer. The Quran recited at that hour seems to echo deeper inside you because Allah Himself says that the recitation at Fajr is witnessed. It means that when you recite or reflect on His words in that blessed time, the angels are recording your voice, your devotion, your love. They are witnesses to your closeness to Him. But when we sleep after Fajr, we often lose that moment without realizing its value. The stillness passes, the angels ascend, and the morning light continues. But the blessing that was meant for us moves on. We may wake later in the day feeling dull, restless, or spiritually empty without knowing why. It is not only the body that misses out, it is the soul. Sleeping at that hour is not sinful, but it is a missed opportunity, a door to tranquility that we chose not to enter. If only we could sense the weight of that moment, we would treat it like gold. The early morning is not just about time, it's about presence. When the world is silent and the first light appears, Allah gives us a window to connect with Him before the noise of life begins. Every minute spent in remembrance at that time carries a fragrance that lingers in the heart throughout the day, sets the tone for everything that follows. Those who understand the secret of Fajr know that peace is not something to be searched for later. It is already waiting for us in the quiet minutes after dawn when the angels are still near and Allah is closest to those who remember Him. The early morning carries a hidden blessing that many overlook. From the moment Fajr prayer ends, the world awakens under the light of divine mercy. It is the time when the Prophet made a special dua for his ummah, asking Allah to bless the mornings of his followers. That single supplication is enough to fill these hours with barakah, a kind of unseen blessing that multiplies goodness in everything it touches. When a believer chooses to remain awake after Fajr, whether to read Quran, remember Allah, plan their day, or simply reflect in silence, they are standing in the very hours that the Prophet himself prayed would be filled with divine favor. This is why so many of the early Muslims, including scholars and righteous people, began their work immediately after dawn. They understood that the first light of day carries not just physical brightness, but spiritual light as well. Barakah is a mysterious force. It cannot be seen or measured, but its effects are unmistakable. You may find that when you start your day early, you accomplish more with less effort. Your thoughts are clearer, your tasks flow with ease, and time seems to stretch instead of slip away. That is barakah working silently in your favor. It is Allah's way of rewarding those who honor the hours He blessed. When you fill the early morning with remembrance, with Quran, or with gratitude, Allah places a sweetness in your time that no amount of sleep can replace. You begin to notice that even the smallest actions bring larger results because your time has been touched by divine mercy. On the other hand, when a person sleeps after Fajr, the day often feels heavy. The hours pass quickly, but with little peace or productivity. You may wake up later with a foggy mind, a sluggish heart, or a sense that the day has already escaped you. That missing feeling is the loss of barakah. It is not about being physically tired or awake. It's about what the heart receives in those first sacred hours. When you spend them in remembrance, your heart aligns with peace. When you spend them in heedlessness, your heart feels detached and restless. This is why the scholars often said that those who begin their day with Allah will find their entire day guided by Him. Barakah in the morning is more than just a blessing in time. It extends to sustenance, relationships, and even emotions. A person who begins their day remembering Allah carries a calm energy into everything they do. Their speech becomes gentler, their patience stronger, and their work more fruitful. The angels, having witnessed their devotion, accompany them with ease throughout the day. In contrast, those who trade the early hours for more sleep may find themselves constantly rushing, feeling as though there is never enough time, never enough peace. The difference lies not in how long the day is, but in whether or not Allah has placed barakah within it. Those who guard the time after Fajr guard the key to a life filled with divine ease and quiet abundance. The time after Fajr is unlike any other moment in the day, carries a stillness that cannot be recreated once the sun rises fully and the world begins to move. In that brief window between night and morning, the earth seems to breathe softly. The sounds are gentle, the rustling of leaves, the faint call of birds, the distant rhythm of life just beginning to stir. In that silence, there is space for the soul to listen. It is a sacred stillness, an invitation from Allah to pause and reconnect before the noise of the world floods in. When you sit in that quiet after prayer, you begin to feel something subtle awaken within you. It is the soul recognizing the peace that comes from remembrance. This stillness is not emptiness. It is full of presence. It is the presence of Allah surrounding you, watching over you, and inviting you closer. After Fajr, your heart is soft, your mind is calm, and your body is light. The burdens that felt heavy before sleep now seem lighter because you have just finished standing before your Creator. The moment you choose to remain awake, to sit in reflection, or to whisper a quiet dua, you are accepting an intimate invitation to begin your day not with haste, but with awareness. That awareness anchors the rest of your day. It fills you with perspective, reminding you that before work, before responsibilities, before worldly tasks, your first purpose is to remember the one who gave you life this morning. The Quran, when recited after Fajr, feels different. The verses seem to echo louder in your chest, and every word strikes deeper. It's as if the silence of the morning amplifies the voice of the Quran within your heart. When you speak to Allah in dua at that time, your words are not rushed. They flow softly like a conversation between you and the one who already knows your heart. The world is quiet, so it becomes easier to hear the whispers of your soul, the things you ignore during the day because of the noise and distraction. It is in that sacred stillness that real clarity begins. You start to understand yourself, your struggles, and your blessings better. This is why the early morning is called a time of reflection. It is not just about remembering Allah. It is also about remembering who you are in His sight. If you have ever watched the sunrise after Fajr, you know it feels like a private gift. As the sky shifts from darkness to light, it mirrors something within you, a transformation, a renewal. Every dawn is a reminder that Allah allows you to start again. When you stay awake to witness that moment, it becomes more than just a sunrise. It becomes a spiritual experience, a silent promise from your Creator that no matter how heavy the night has been, light always returns. In those quiet minutes after Fajr, before the world begins demanding your attention, you find a peace that the rest of the day can never offer. It is the kind of peace that does not depend on silence outside, but grows from the stillness inside. Staying awake after Fajr is not always easy. The body feels heavy, the eyes burn with sleep, and the bed seems to pull you back with a quiet comfort. It is a small but powerful test, one that reveals the depth of your discipline and the sincerity of your love for Allah. Every time you choose remembrance over rest, you are making a statement. Not to the world, but to your own soul. You are reminding yourself that faith is not built in comfort. It is built in moments of quiet struggle. The strength to remain awake, to fight the desire for sleep, is a sign of devotion that Allah sees even if no one else does. It is a silent act of worship, one that turns ordinary minutes into eternal rewards. Love for Allah is not always shown through grand gestures. Sometimes it is shown in small choices. When you stay awake after Fajr, even when every part of you longs for more rest, that choice whispers a truth. Why Allah? My love for you is greater than my desire for ease. That small sacrifice holds immense weight in the unseen world. The angels record it. The heart feels it. And Allah, in His mercy, rewards it with barakah that fills your day. In those quiet moments, you are not just training your body, you are training your soul to prioritize the Creator over creation, the eternal over the temporary. This is the essence of discipline and faith, doing what pleases Allah even when your nafs resist it. This test of discipline is also a mirror of your spiritual state. It reveals what your heart truly values. If you can push yourself to stay awake in the stillness of dawn, your heart begins to taste the sweetness of sacrifice. The more you choose Allah over comfort, the more your heart grows in love for Him. This love is not about emotion alone, it is about action. It is proven in the quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. To resist the pull of sleep after Fajr is to resist the laziness that keeps your soul from growing. It is a reminder that Jannah is not for those who always seek ease, but for those who learn to rise above their desires for the sake of Allah. There is also a hidden wisdom in this small act of self-control. When you discipline yourself in one area, it strengthens you in others. If you can overcome the comfort of your bed after Fajr, you will find it easier to resist temptations, distractions, and moments of weakness later in the day. The Prophet said that strong believers are more beloved to Allah than weak ones. And this strength begins with discipline of the soul, the tongue, and the heart. Each morning after Fajr offers a chance to build that strength. Every time you stay awake in remembrance, you are polishing your heart, preparing it to face the challenges of the day with clarity and calm. The test of staying awake may seem small, but it shapes a heart that learns to love Allah above all else. There is a difference between sleep and rest that many people never realize until they feel it. Sleep is something the body craves, but rest is something the soul needs. A person can sleep for many hours and still wake up exhausted, anxious, or empty inside. That is because the body may have rested, but the soul has not found peace. True rest does not come from closing your eyes. It comes from opening your heart to Allah. When you sleep after Fajr, you might give your body comfort, but often you are denying your soul the nourishment it was just about to receive from remembrance, reflection, or worship. The time after Fajr carries a special kind of tranquility that the heart hungers for, and when you trade that moment for sleep, your body rests while your spirit remains restless. Those who stay awake after Fajr often describe a unique feeling, a lightness, a calm that carries through the rest of the day. Even if their eyes are tired, their heart feels awake. That is the difference between physical fatigue and spiritual energy. You may feel sleepy, but your heart is alive. The remembrance of Allah, even for a few minutes, fills the soul with peace that no amount of sleep can provide. When you sit quietly after Fajr, reciting Quran or reflecting on life, you are feeding your soul in the way your body is fed by food. The Quran says, "Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." That rest is not found in mattresses or hours of sleep. It is found in the moments when your heart is present with its creator. It is also important to understand that sometimes the exhaustion we feel in life is not physical at all. It is emotional and spiritual. We feel drained not because we work too much, but because we disconnected from the source of peace. When you begin your morning with remembrance and remain awake after Fajr, you are starting your day from a place of connection. You have spoken to the one who controls the day, so you walk into it with calmness and clarity. When you sleep instead, you may wake up later with a dull heaviness that lingers throughout the day. It is not just about missing time. It is about missing alignment with Allah's peace. Rest in Islam is holistic. It nourishes both body and soul. The Prophet rested when needed, but he also understood that the heart finds its true rest in closeness to Allah. When you stay awake after Fajr, even if only for a short time, you are teaching your soul to seek rest in remembrance, not in heedlessness. Over time, this becomes a habit of peace. You begin to notice that your sleep at night feels deeper, your mind feels clearer, and your heart feels lighter. That is the secret of spiritual rest. It comes not from escaping the world, but from remembering Allah within it. True rest is not when the body stops moving, but when the soul stops yearning for something it already has. Peace in the remembrance of its Lord. Every dawn is a new beginning, a quiet reminder that Allah, in His infinite mercy, gives us another chance to rise, to remember, and to realign our hearts with Him. The time after Fajr is not just the start of a day, it is a sacred invitation. An invitation to step into light after darkness, to fill our hearts with remembrance before the noise of the world begins, and to choose presence over heedlessness. When you stay awake after Fajr, you are not just fighting sleep. You are awakening your soul. You are telling Allah through your actions that His remembrance is more precious than comfort, that your heart values connection over convenience. In return, Allah fills your day with something the world cannot give: barakah, clarity, and inner peace. The difference between those who sleep after Fajr and those who stay awake in remembrance is not measured in hours, but in the quality of the heart. One begins the day heavy and distracted, while the other begins it light, guided, and anchored in serenity. The one who stays awake walks through the day with an unseen strength, a calm energy that comes from knowing they began their morning in the company of angels and under the gaze of their Creator. So the next time you pray Fajr, don't rush back to sleep. Sit for a while, whisper a dua. Read even a few verses. Watch the sky turn from blue to gold and feel that quiet conversation between heaven and earth. Those few moments may seem small, but in the unseen world, they carry the weight of mountains. Because peace, barakah, and spiritual strength don't begin when the day begins. They begin when the heart wakes up for Allah and stays awake with Him. And in that sacred hour after Fajr, the heart that chooses Allah over sleep is the heart that will carry light through the rest of the day.